When Apple announced the Apple Watch Series 9 and the Ultra version 2, the real big feature was actually a software feature called Double Tap, and it's finally available now if you've got those two latest devices. It does only work on those latest devices, and I'll tell you why. So the idea of this is very simple. If you're out walking the dog and the dog is by the leash and running out there and the phone rings, you can simply answer the phone without needing this other hand. You might be walking with a bottle of drink or a cup of coffee in this hand and you get a notification you want to respond to. You don't have to do these ones, you don't have to do these ones. You can actually just control your Apple Watch with your fingers. Now, it's a gesture that I felt very much reminiscent of the Apple Vision Pro gestures, because when you use the Apple Vision Pro, there's a lot of this going on, and there's a tap to click on things. But while they are similar, they are completely different in many ways as well. It's very simple. You need the latest Apple Watch update, which has just dropped, 10.1 I think it is. And it's a very simple thing that won't change your life, but I think it'll change the way you use the Apple Watch. I certainly have been looking at a lot more notifications on my watch than I used to, just because it's easier. So let me show you basically how it works. So as you can see, I use the Peanuts watch face, a bit more interactive and fun, but there's no information on the screen. So let's double tap and it brings up the widget menu. So now, as I double tap, I get a scroll through all of my widgets. So I'm scrolling through my day, I'm scrolling through the various widget activities, and I can change all those widgets, obviously. So it's a very simple way to bring up the information on your watch. And I gotta say, the widgets is new, but I've never really looked through information on my watch like that. So that's one thing I've noticed myself using a lot more, mainly probably because I'm using a watch face that has no complications, no information on it, which I think we should be able to do. The Peanuts is a good watch face. I don't need all that information at a glance, but when I want it, I simply open my wrist to view and then simply double tap to scroll through all those menus. But of course, it's a bit more useful when things happen like the phone ring. So let's make a phone call. You can see I'm ringing myself there, and the phone will ring here on my wrist and over there. So I'm going to double tap, and I've answered the phone. So there we are. Just turn that up and we can hear myself in multiple versions, having the conversation. Yeah, cool, no worries, I'm walking the dog, I'm just getting a coffee, I'll be with you shortly. And then simply double tap to hang up the call. Done deal, right? Simple as that. So, I mean, it's weird here because I don't need to use it right now. I could just reach over, I should do this whole thing with something in my hand. In fact, you know what, I'll hold a remote. How's that for an idea? Now, the other thing I can do is I can send an SMS. So let's send a little message. Hey there, are you coming to dinner tonight? Send. Now, that message is going to come through on my watch because my computer's locked, my phone's locked. I just felt it come through there, and there it is now. So, the default action here, when I double tap, is to go into the message option, and it automatically goes into dictate. Now, I'm talking, so it's obviously going to dictate this whole thing. But once I'm finished dictating, double tap, and it's sent. So basically what Apple has done is they've gone through the whole operating system, and they've gone, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens, what do we do by default? What's the most likely thing someone's going to want to do? Let me show you again so you can see this long message now. Hey there. Okay, so let's just send a simple message. That'll come through to my watch. Bing, I can feel it and read it. So double tap, and I can respond now really simply just by saying what I want. It's in dictation mode. Thanks very much, and double tap to send. And off it goes. Message is sent. So it's really quite simple. They call it almost magic in many ways, the way Apple loves to. But it's interesting because a lot of people have said to me, oh, that's been around for years. Now, the concept of using your fingers, your wrist, different actions on your hand is not new to the Apple Watch. It's been a feature of accessibility for some time. So people who simply cannot use two hands, people who have disabilities, people who have any particular need, Apple created the ability for them to use gestures like the clenched fist or the double tap to do things on their watch some years ago. And a bunch of TikTokers and people found that and thought it was a really cool way to interact with the watch. But the difference is the accessibility feature isn't designed in the same way. Two things. It's not designed to interact with all the same responses in the same way. It's much more simplistic in that sense. But more importantly, it's not as accurate as this. I've found with the accessibility option, you need to be much more precise. You need to be more, I guess, clear about your gesture. What I found with double tap is it's a little bit more natural. Now it does work the more snug you feel the watch on your wrist. It does adjust based on how you wear the watch, and it's all about the sensors that are in the Series 9 and the Ultra 2, and also the system on a chip, the SIP they call it, which is the brains of this watch. That's able to work out what's going on. I found when you first start to use it, if you tap too lightly, you won't get a response. So if I'm looking at my watch and I just kind of tap my fingers, it's not doing anything. Just a couple of taps like that does nothing. But if I'm very distinct about it, then it brings up my menu as I need. So you've got to be very distinct about your taps, very clear and obvious about what you're trying to do here. Look, I'm going through, I'm tapping. So you're really distinct about it. If I simply just do little taps, gentle, it's not doing anything. Really got to double tap to get through it. So it takes probably a day and a half to get used to using. I don't think it's a every minute of the day change of the way we use our Apple Watches, but I got to say, for simple things like responding to messages, it's a game changer. And if you are someone that has a cup of coffee in the hand or a remote, or you're out walking the dog, those times, it's going to be a game changer for you. It's available on the latest operating system update, which is out now. It only works on the brand new Ultra 2 or Series 9 Apple Watches. Is it a reason to upgrade? I'm not sure. It depends on how much you walk the dog, but it is pretty cool. Now I have to say, in having a conversation with the good people at Apple about this double tap feature, we were chatting about how I use the Peanuts watch face, and as did one of the Apple executives. And I said, how many watch faces are there? Look at this. Every time you look at your watch, you get a different animation, a different cartoon. And I am absolutely perplexed by it. It is remarkable to me how many animations there are. It's just like, I don't think I've ever seen the same one. It's just every time there's a different animation. I said, how many are there? They said to me, how many do you think there are? I said, I reckon there's 1,000. I reckon there's 1,000 of those things. So here's what I want you to do. Tell me in the comments. How many peanut animations do you think there are? Don't go Googling it. It's probably on Google somewhere. But don't go Googling it. How many do you think there are? It's very, very cool. I thought there was thousands. There's not. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, very cool update. The double tap feature, I think, is a game changer for people who use the Apple Watch. It's not a massive incentive to buy the latest version, but I think it's a little one that might tip you over the edge, especially if you've got an older Series 4, Series 5, something like that. It's really now getting to the point where the number of sensors and the ability of this thing is at the next level, and it's worth investing in the upgrade. If you love your Apple Watch, the latest Series 9 and the Ultra 2 are epic, and they do everything you really want them to do. All the details of the update and my interview with the people from Apple about the double tap feature at EFTM.com.